Welcome to Land of the Bible. I'm David Sussman, your personal tour guide here in the land of Israel. And in today's episode, we are going to discover the Jezreel Valley. The Jezreel Valley today is one of Israel's breadbaskets as well as a major thoroughfare across the country. And it was no different in biblical times, as it connected two ancient trade routes. The Via Maris, which is Latin for the Way of the Sea, which went from the delta of the Nile River in Alexandria all the way north and into what is today Turkey. And if you wanted to cross over to the King's Highway, which connected the Arabian Peninsula with Mesopotamia, you had to cut through the Jezreel Valley, which means in times of antiquity, if empires in Egypt or Mesopotamia wanted to trade with one another, they had to cross right here in the Jezreel Valley. Protecting this thoroughfare were two major city fortresses, one to the east known as Beit Shean and one to the west known as Megiddo. We will discover both these places and so much more as we journey through the Jezreel Valley here on Land of the Bible. The first place we're going to discover here in the Jezreel Valley is the national park located at Tel Megiddo. So what exactly is a tell? Well, a tell is the result of many civilizations building on top of one another. So why build here at Megiddo in the first place? Well, just like today, ancient man required three things to succeed. First and foremost is water. And here at Megiddo, you have a spring at the base of the mountain. Second is defense. In order to defend yourself, you needed to build your community in an elevated location like you have here at Megiddo. And last but not least, you need commerce, which means you need to build your community near a trade route. And as I mentioned, this is the junction of two major trade routes in times of antiquity. In fact, archaeologists have sifted through over 25 layers of civilization here at Megiddo, known as strata in the study of stratigraphy. Let's now head into the national park. The first time that we hear the name Megiddo recorded in the annals of history also happens to be the first recorded battle in all of history. It happened in the 15th century BCE when several of the Canaanite kingdoms, with the help of the Syrian Empire Mitanni, rebelled against Egypt. Tutmosis III rallied his troops and marched into the land of Israel and conquered the city of Megiddo and reasserted Egyptian authority in this part of the world. The first time that we see that Megiddo is mentioned in the Bible is in the book of Joshua and the conquest of the land of Canaan. It's mentioned in chapter 12, verse 21 in the book of Joshua that this was one of the cities conquered at that time. So come with me as we walk up these ancient stairs that lead up to the city gate and discover many of the biblical ruins that are found here at Tel Megiddo. The gate into Canaanite Megiddo is one of the most well-preserved from the late Bronze Age. It's a 4-chambered gate, adding to the defense of the city. There's also a wooden beam right through the middle of it. This could absorb vibrations due to attacks or earthquakes which are felt in this region. Not only that, but the gate also illustrates the importance of the city as well as its wealth. You see the black line just down here? Well, that is basalt rock that had to be imported all the way from the Golan Heights. It gave a strong foundation to the gate, but also added a decorative value so people would know you are entering a wealthy city. Let's now head through those gates and head up towards the Solomonic gates. Wow, this is just incredible to think that this is the actual gate that the Israelites, led by Joshua, entered into Megiddo. I absolutely love it when archaeology proves the narrative found in the Bible. And even if you want to take the spirituality, you want to take God out of the equation, you can't deny the fact that the Bible is a historical document. It's my history, my people's history. Reading it for me is like reading the diary of my ancestors. And in the book of Kings, chapter 9, verse 15, it describes how King Solomon fortified the cities of Gezer, Chatzor, and here in Megiddo by building a 6-chambered gate. Well, here Yigal Yadin, the archaeologist, discovered a 6-chambered gate. You can see one of them over here, the middle one, which was filled in at a later date and had something built on top of it, and the far one over there. But wait a second, that's only 3 chambers. Where are the other 3? Well, remember how I described a tell as being layers or an onion that you had to peel away? Well, archaeologists peeled away those other 3 chambers in order to discover an earlier age, the Canaanite period, which was found below it. And sure enough, that's where they found those Canaanite gates that we just saw. The trench that you can see below me was dug out by the University of Chicago as they were excavating Tel Megiddo between 1925 and 1939. And this type of archaeology of digging a trench right through the middle of a tell today is considered to be barbaric, as it destroys much of the antiquity that could have been preserved. But what it allowed archaeologists for the first time was to see the clear, definitive lines of stratigraphy that you can see just over there. Each line is one layer of strata, a civilization which lived here in Megiddo. And as I mentioned before, Megiddo had 25 layers of civilization that have been discovered right here. One of the monumental discoveries by the University of Chicago was the pagan altar you can see just below me. It's that large circular structure with 7 stairs leading up to the platform. And we've discovered thousands of animal bones, including lion bones, which roamed this area during the biblical period, attesting to the amount of sacrifices that these pagans were offering to their various gods. However, the Israelites living here in the land also offered animal sacrifices to our God in various altars that were built around the country. That is until the temple was built during the time of King Solomon, when centralized worship was established in Jerusalem.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
From the first recorded battle in history during the reign of Pharaoh Tutmosis III in the 15th century BCE to the last great cavalry battle, which was fought between the British and the Turks at the end of World War I, Megiddo has been the site of many great battles. And this was not lost to the Christian Gospel John, who wrote in the book of Revelations in chapter 16, verse 16, that the kings will stand together here at Armageddon, and the battle will take place between good and evil. Well, the word Armageddon is really a corruption of two Hebrew words, Har Megiddo, which means the mountain of Megiddo. Let's continue as we learn more about this biblical site. In addition to the beautiful ruins here at Megiddo, the National Park also offers a multimedia presentation and museum that explains how the excavations here unfolded. In addition, there's a small gift shop here that features one of the local artists from Kibbutz Megiddo, which is located just outside the National Park, which reminds me of the famous Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai, who wrote that the Messiah will come when tourists stop focusing on the ancient ruins and focus on the modern day Jewish people who have returned to their ancestral homeland and their capital in Jerusalem. Let's continue as we learn more about the Jezreel Valley. Beit Shean is a historical gem that unfolds a story of war, love, culture, wealth, and so much more. Its biblical importance is due to the fact that the Israelites lived here for hundreds of years until the community was destroyed by the Assyrians in the year 722 BCE, along with the rest of the 10 northern tribes of Israel. It's most notably known for the fact when King Saul, the first king of Israel, was defeated by the Philistines, along with his three sons. Most known is Jonathan, who was good friends with David, who will become the next king of Israel. The Philistines take the bodies of King Saul, his three sons, here to Beit Shean, and they string up the bodies on the walls. Let's take a look now at some of the highlights that are found here in Beit Shean. When you come here to visit Tel Beit Shean, you'll notice that most of the remains here date back to the Roman or Byzantine period. During this time, it was a Neapolitan city with Christians, Jews, Samaritans, and even pagans living here all at the same time. Beit Shean during the Roman and Byzantine periods reached a population of 50,000 people. It's a tremendous amount of people in ancient times. And as such, the Romans needed to build a proper infrastructure. They built public restrooms that people could use, the latrines, and 40 people in the latrines at the same time with no stalls. I guess there was no modesty back then. They built this beautiful theater that I'm standing in now, 7,000 seats. Look behind me, look at those gorgeous pillars, the Corinthian capitals. Some of them are made out of marble and granite stones that are not found here in Israel, which means they had to import them from Egypt and from Turkey. It just shows the amount of wealth that existed here at that time. In addition to the theater and the latrines, they built a bathhouse, what would be today a steam room where people could go and clean themselves as well as have social interaction. In addition to all of this, the temples that they built, they also had a main thoroughfare right through the heart of the city known as the Cardo. Let's go walk down that street and learn a little bit more about Beit Shean. We are now walking through Main Street of ancient Beit Shean from 2,000 years ago. Beautiful pillars to my left, shops to my right, and the original mosaic still on the ground, and you're able to walk upon it. Well, in 749, there was a massive earthquake that completely destroyed the ancient city of Beit Shean. And it never was rebuilt until modern times. But even today, it still hasn't reached its former glory that was here during the biblical period or the Roman period.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
The capital of the Jezreel Valley is the city of Afula. But it's not just a modern city, it also boasts several ruins, some of which date back to the biblical period. In fact, archaeologists believe that some of the ruins are from the biblical village of Ophrah, which was the hometown of Gideon from the book of Judges. With a population of over 50,000, there's plenty to do here in Afula, and it makes for a great stop for lunch while discovering the Jezreel Valley. My favorite place is Golani Falafel, where they don't only serve the best falafel in Israel, but they also put on a show while making it. The book of Judges in the Bible covers a period of time from the death of Joshua all the way up to the establishment of the monarchy with the first king of Israel, Saul. It's roughly a 400-year period in which the Israelites will go through a repeated cycle of moving away from the teachings of Moses and God, and even going so far as sinking to the depths of idol worship. During one such cycle, the Midianites oppressed the Jewish people, and a man by the name of Gideon from the village of Ophrah, which is here in the Jezreel Valley, is chosen to lead the Jewish people over the Midianites. He gathers 32,000 men, and yet God said, "Gideon, your numbers are too many. Tell those that have fear in their heart to leave the Israelite camp." The next morning, 22,000 of his men, his soldiers, left the camp, leaving him with only 10,000. And yet God said once again, "You're too numerous." You see, God wanted it to be apparent that this victory was a miracle. And even though the Midianites had 135,000 men and 10,000 would be improbable for victory, he still said the numbers are too high. Bring them down to the springs here in the Jezreel Valley, and we will see who is fit to do battle. Gideon led those 10,000 men on a long, arduous hike till they arrived here at the spring of Harod that's still bubbling out of the mountain today, which is amazing. When you visit the land of Israel, you get to walk in the footsteps of kings, prophets, and stand like I am in the same spot that the judge Gideon stood in. Well, when they arrived here, Gideon told his men, "Refresh yourselves, drink from the cool waters." But God told Gideon, "Watch closely these men. See which ones drink from the water like dogs and which ones drink like dignified men by scooping the water out and drinking out of their palm. And it's those dignified men that you shall do battle with against the Midianites." At the end, only 300 passed this test. So how is it that a group of 300 men are able to defeat an army of 135,000? Well, obviously, it's through the grace of God, the miracles that he performed for them, but there was also an element of strategy on Gideon's part. He took those 300 men, and in one hand, he had them carry torches that were concealed with clay jugs. And on the other hand, he had them carry shofars, a ram's horn. And at the signal, all the men smashed their jugs, revealing the light that was hidden behind them, and they sounded the shofar. This frightened the Midianite men, who woke up and saw light all around them, and in their fear, they began to kill one another. Those that were not killed fled and went as far east as what is today Jordan, on the other side of the Jordan River. And this is how Gideon was successful in defeating the Midianites.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
We've already learned so much of the biblical history here in the Jezreel Valley, but there's also a significant amount of modern Zionism, modern Jewish history, as the Jewish people began to return to their ancestral homeland and to develop it and once again make it into the land of milk and honey. Well, here in the Jezreel Valley, in the year 1936, on the land I'm standing on right now, you have the creation of Kibbutz Nir David. It was here that the first tower and stockade was built. So what was tower and stockade? Well, as Arabs started to come in from various areas, they began to rebel against these new Jewish enterprises, and it became extremely difficult to build these new Jewish communities on land that was legally purchased during the Ottoman Empire, as well as the British mandate by the Jewish National Fund. So what the Jews had to do was come up with a creative way to establish new communities that could be defended easily and also in a short amount of time. So what they would do was build a stockade, a wall that would enclose roughly about a quarter acre of land, 35 square meters, and build a tower in the middle of it that they could survey the land and see where the enemy was coming from. This enabled them to protect the community that would expand from the tower and stockade. The first tower and stockade to be built was right here in Kibbutz Nir David. And to commemorate this, they have built a replica tower and stockade which houses a museum about modern Zionism and the development of the Jezreel Valley. The kibbutz is built on some of the most pastoral land anywhere in Israel along the banks of the Asi River, which you can explore by kayak. You can also visit the Valley of Springs, as there's a tremendous amount of springs in this area. You can do it by foot, bicycle, golf cart, or ATV. Just around the corner is the national park known as Gan HaShlosha, which has several pools of water, waterfalls, springs that stay at a constant 28 degrees Celsius. There's also a unique attraction here known as Gan Guru, which is a kangaroo farm where you get really up close and personal to the kangaroos, literally feeding them by your own hands. They even have a koala bear. In addition, Kibbutz Ner David offers incredible accommodations for groups of any size. They have over 50 cabins here. They also have a full-service restaurant, gymnasium, and an indoor pool, making this the perfect place to stay as you explore this region and the Jezreel Valley. Stay tuned as we continue. Coming up next time on Land of the Bible, we're going to learn about the kibbutz movement here in Israel. What an incredible day today has been as we explored the Jezreel Valley from Megiddo in the west all the way to Beit Shean in the east and several points in between. Thank you for watching Land of the Bible. And remember, I'm David Sussman, your personal tour guide here in the land of Israel. And make sure to join us next time as we connect you to the people, places, and land of the Bible.